The kitchen smelled of truffle oil and arrogance. White linen tablecloths, crystal glasses. A dining room in Lyon, France, where the air itself seemed to carry the weight of centuries of culinary tradition. The French Michelin-starred chef stood at the pass, arms folded, watching a young Filipino cook plate a dish he had never seen before. He leaned toward his sous chef, said something in French. They both laughed. Not loudly. The French never laugh loudly when they are being cruel. Just enough for the Filipino to hear it across the stainless steel counter. The chef picked up the plate, examined it the way a professor examines a child's drawing, set it back down, and said in clipped English, "This is not cuisine. This is island food." He had no idea he was holding a plate that was about to rewrite everything he thought he knew about flavor. Welcome to Archipelago Archive. Subscribe now to join our mission of documenting the legends the world ignored. The year was 2023. The city, Lyon, France, the undisputed culinary capital of the world. A city where food is not simply eaten, but debated, dissected, and elevated into something approaching religion. The streets smell of butter and fresh bread before sunrise. The markets open before dawn, and chefs move through them with the quiet intensity of surgeons selecting instruments. This is a city that does not make room for outsiders easily. It never has. The event was the International Fusion Culinary Invitational, a prestigious competition held every 2 years, drawing the finest chefs from 40 nations. Past winners had gone on to earn Michelin stars, book deals, and the kind of global recognition that changes a life permanently. The invitation list read like a who's who of the world's finest culinary institutions: Paris, Tokyo, Copenhagen, New York, and then, quietly, almost as an afterthought on the printed program, Manila. The Filipino representative was 26 years old. Her name was not yet known beyond the tight circle of Paco market vendors and the loyal customers of a small family restaurant tucked inside a narrow street in Binondo, Manila, the oldest Chinatown in the world. She had trained not in culinary academies, but beside her grandmother, Lola Caring, in a kitchen so small 2 people had to turn sideways to pass each other. That kitchen had no thermometers, no molecular gastronomy equipment, no tweezers for plating, just fire, instinct, and 70 years of accumulated wisdom passed down through the women of one Filipino family. The French chef, 3 Michelin stars, television appearances, a cookbook translated into 11 languages, had been briefed on the participants before the competition began. When he reached the Filipino entry on the list, he reportedly set the paper down and said to his team, "Send her my regards and perhaps a copy of Escoffier." Auguste Escoffier, the father of French classical cuisine. The implication was not subtle. The message reached the Filipino camp before the first course was even prepared. In a small pension house near the competition venue, the young Filipina stood at the window looking out at Lyon's cobblestone streets. She opened her phone and called home. Lola Caring answered on the 3rd ring. She told her grandmother what the French chef had said. There was a long pause on the line. Then the old woman laughed, warm, unhurried, the laugh of someone who has heard this story before. She said, "Magluto ka lang ng maayos, anak. Let the food speak. Just cook well, child. Let the food speak." To understand what walked into that Lyon kitchen, you have to go back to Binondo, back to a woman named Lola Caring, 81 years old, arthritic fingers, eyes that could assess the doneness of a dish from across a room, and a cooking philosophy that had no name in any culinary textbook. She had never been to culinary school. She had never owned a cookbook. What she had was something far older and far more powerful, a living memory of Filipino food as it existed before colonization tried to simplify it, before fast food tried to replace it, before the world decided that fine dining had to speak French to be legitimate. Lola Caring cooked in the tradition of what she called Timpla ng Puso, the seasoning of the heart. It was not a recipe, it was a principle. It said that every dish must carry the story of where it came from, the land, the sea, the hands that grew it, the fire that transformed it. Filipino cuisine, she taught her granddaughter, was never simple. It was layered. It carried Spanish influence and Chinese technique and Malay earthiness and indigenous knowledge, all in a single bowl. It was fusion long before the word existed. It was global before globalization had a name. If you believe in the untapped power of the Philippines, hit that subscribe button. It helps us find more stories like this one. The dish the young Filipina brought to Lyon was called sinigang and croute, a reinvention of the beloved Filipino sour tamarind broth, deconstructed and reconstructed using classical French pastry technique as a vessel, with locally sourced Lyonnaise ingredients married to Filipino souring agents she had carried in her luggage from Manila. Tamarind paste, dried camillas, a small jar of bagoong that had cleared customs by a miracle. It was not a gimmick, it was a thesis, a quiet, edible argument that Filipino flavor had the sophistication, the complexity, and the emotional depth to stand on any table in the world. She had developed the dish over 8 months of late nights in the Binondo kitchen. Lola Caring tasted every iteration. Sometimes she said nothing, just adjusted the fire or added a pinch of something without explanation, the way a musician corrects a note by feel rather than theory. Twice, she made her granddaughter throw the entire batch away and start again, not because it was bad, but because she said it tasted of effort instead of love. Kapag nararamdaman ng kumakain ang iyong pagod, hindi mo sila pinakain, pinagtrabahuhan mo sila. If the person eating can taste your exhaustion, you have not fed them, you have made them work.
The first day of the invitational passed without drama. The Filipina moved through her prep station quietly, methodically, drawing occasional glances from neighboring chefs who noticed her ingredients with visible confusion. What is that paste? What is that dried fruit? One Italian chef leaned over and asked, genuinely curious. She smiled and told him. He nodded slowly, intrigued. The French chef passed her station twice, did not stop, did not acknowledge her. The second time, she caught him glancing at her mise en place, the organized ingredients laid out for service. His expression was unreadable, but his pace slowed for just a moment before he moved on. The judging round came on day 2. 5 judges, all European, all decorated, all deeply embedded in the classical French tradition. The brief was simple: present a fusion dish that demonstrated technical mastery, cultural authenticity, and original vision. 40 chefs, 1 winner. The Filipina was the 31st to present. By that point, the judges had eaten well and were, by all accounts, beginning to feel the comfortable numbness that comes from too much excellence in too short a time. They needed something to wake them up. They didn't know it was coming. She placed the dish in front of the head judge without theatrics, no long explanation, no dramatic reveal, just a quiet sinigang and croute, a Filipino soul in a French body. The head judge raised an eyebrow, picked up his fork. The pastry shell shattered cleanly, and from it rose the unmistakable fragrance of tamarind, layered beneath something richer, more complex, something that had no right being as elegant as it was. The judge paused, set his fork down, picked it up again, took a second bite before he had even processed the first. Across the room, the French chef was watching. He had positioned himself near the judging table for the final presentations, standard practice for the competition's veteran participants. He saw the head judge's reaction. He saw the second judge lean forward involuntarily. He saw the third judge close his eyes, the unmistakable gesture of someone surrendering completely to a flavor. His arms, which had been folded across his chest since the morning, slowly dropped to his sides. Move 23 had arrived, except this time it wasn't a chessboard, it was a dining table in Lyon, and the trap had been built in a kitchen in Binondo 8 months ago by an 81-year-old woman with arthritic fingers who seasoned everything with the one ingredient no culinary school has ever taught: memory. The scores were announced that evening in the grand hall of the invitational venue. 40 chefs stood in a line. The atmosphere was formal, charged, the kind of quiet that precedes something irreversible. When the winner was announced, the young Filipina from Binondo, Manila, the room did not erupt, it exhaled. A long, collective exhale of people who had witnessed something they would be talking about for years and were only just beginning to process it. She did not raise her hands, did not cry, did not perform the victory the room might have expected. She simply pressed her palms together in a small, quiet gesture of gratitude, a reflex so deeply Filipino it needed no translation, and said, barely above a whisper, "Para kay Lola," for grandmother. 3 words. The Italian chef who had asked about her ingredients was the first to start applauding. The rest of the room followed. The French chef stood at the edge of the hall. He applauded too, slowly at first, then with the full, deliberate effort of a man who is also apologizing with his hands. After the ceremony, he crossed the room toward her. The crowd parted. These moments have a gravity that people instinctively respect. He stopped in front of her, and the man with 3 Michelin stars, the television credits, the cookbook in 11 languages, said nothing for a moment. Then, "I owe you an apology, and I owe your grandmother a visit." She looked at him calmly and said, "She will feed you. That is what she does."
There is a concept at the heart of Filipino cooking that no culinary school in the world teaches formally. It is called mana. Not magic, though it can feel like it. It means inheritance. The accumulated knowledge, instinct, and love passed from hand to hand, generation to generation, through the simple act of cooking together. It lives in the way a Filipina grandmother adjusts the fire without looking at it, in the way she tastes a broth and knows, not from measurement but from memory, exactly what it needs. It cannot be written in a recipe. It can only be transferred through presence, through patience, through the willingness to stand in a small kitchen and watch and learn and absorb. The young Filipina returned to Manila 2 weeks after Lyon with a trophy, a cash prize, and 3 separate offers from European restaurants who wanted her on their team. She turned all 3 down. She went back to the narrow street in Binondo, back to the small family restaurant, back to the kitchen where 2 people had to turn sideways to pass each other. Lola Caring was waiting. She had made arroz caldo, simple rice porridge, ginger warm and deeply comforting. No truffle oil, no pastry shell, no plating tweezers. The French chef made good on his word. He flew to Manila 4 months later, not to a 5-star hotel restaurant, but to Binondo. He sat in the small restaurant and ate what Lola Caring put in front of him. She did not modify anything for his palate. She did not translate anything for his comfort. She cooked the way she always cooked, with fire, instinct, and 70 years of accumulated love. He ate everything. He asked for more of the sinigang. When he finally set his spoon down, he sat quietly for a long moment and then said to no one in particular, "I have been cooking for 40 years. I am not sure I have understood food until today." Lola Caring refilled his bowl without a word. In Filipino kitchens, that is the highest compliment you can give. Some flavors travel the world and lose themselves along the way. Some are rooted so deeply in a place, a people, a pair of arthritic hands that no distance, no dismissal, no Michelin star can diminish them. The Philippines has been feeding the world's soul for centuries. Lyon just finally got a seat at the table. Every island holds a secret. Every barangay has a legend. Join the archive by subscribing and tell us in the comments which legend should we unearth next.